This isn't Ebola. It's the consequence of your betrayal.
She faked an Africa mission to cheat. I ended her medical career. My wife, a respected doctor, came home from a 3-month mission in Africa with a mysterious illness. I rushed her to the hospital, fearing Ebola. But the diagnosis wasn't a deadly virus. It was 2 STDs. And that's when I realized her entire humanitarian mission was a devastating lie. Hey everyone, and welcome back. What you're about to hear is a story of betrayal on a scale you won't believe, and the methodical, cold-blooded revenge that followed. It's a journey into the dark side of a seemingly perfect marriage. If you're fascinated by stories where carefully constructed lies unravel in the most spectacular way, make sure you're subscribed. You are not going to want to miss a single, shocking detail of how this story unfolds. In my experience, welcome home banners are just a prelude to disaster. I should have known something was wrong when Tessa insisted on hanging one across our front porch like some suburban Martha Stewart wannabe. My wife, Dr. Tessa Ellery, infectious disease specialist and apparent expert in bringing home more than just medical knowledge from her 3-month mission in West Africa. I'm Nick Ellery, 41 years old, an ex-Marine turned hospital IT security chief. I fix computers, monitor camera feeds, and occasionally chase down idiots who think stealing medical equipment is a brilliant career move. It's honest work that pays the bills and keeps me close enough to Riverside General to grab lunch with my wife. Or at least, that's how things used to be. The banner fluttered in the October wind as I pulled into our driveway, my arms heavy with groceries for Tessa's welcome home dinner. Maddie, our 15-year-old daughter, stood in the doorway, arms crossed. She had inherited her mother's sharp tongue and my suspicious nature. "Dad, Mom looks terrible. Like, really terrible," she announced. I tried to reason with her. She just spent 3 months in rural Guinea treating Ebola patients. Kiddo, cut her some slack. Will, our 13-year-old son, appeared behind his sister, clutching his Nintendo Switch like a security blanket. "She's been throwing up all morning," he added, "and she keeps checking her phone every 5 seconds. Kids notice everything. It's both a blessing and a curse." I found Tessa in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of our king-size bed with her head in her hands. Even sick, she was beautiful. Auburn hair pulled back in a messy bun, green eyes that could stop traffic, and a smile that had convinced me to propose after just 6 months. Today, though, she looked like she'd been hit by a medical textbook. "Hey, gorgeous. Rough flight." She looked up, and for a split second, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear? Guilt? Before I could process it, she was in my arms, sobbing against my chest. "Nick, I need to tell you something," she choked out. "I think I might have been exposed to something in Guinea. I'm having symptoms." A cold dread washed over me. Ebola, Marburg, a dozen other hemorrhagic fevers that could end you in days. "What kind of symptoms?" I asked, my voice tight. "Fever, nausea, fatigue," she said, then pulled back, unable to meet my eyes. "And some other things. I need to go to the hospital tonight." I called in every favor I had to get Tessa seen immediately at Riverside General. Dr. Patricia Hendricks, head of emergency medicine and one of Tessa's closest colleagues, took charge personally. Within an hour, Tessa was in a secure isolation unit while they ran a battery of tests. "Nick, try not to panic," Dr. Hendricks said, finding me pacing in the family waiting area. Her symptoms could be anything: stress, exhaustion, a simple virus. But I knew better. Doctors don't put patients in isolation for simple viruses, I shot back. I spent that entire night in the waiting room, drinking terrible coffee and watching the same news stories repeat on CNN. Maddie and Will stayed with my sister, probably terrified that their mother was going to die from some exotic African disease. The thought twisted my stomach into knots. At 6 in the morning, Dr. Hendricks found me again. Her expression was unreadable. "Nick, we need to talk privately." She led me to a small consultation room that smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. The kind of room where doctors deliver life-altering news. "The good news," she started, "is Tessa doesn't have Ebola or any hemorrhagic fever." A wave of relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. "The bad news," she continued, "is more complicated." My heart hammered against my ribs. "How complicated?" She took a deep breath. "She has chlamydia and gonorrhea." The words hit me like a physical blow. For a moment, the world went silent. I couldn't process what she'd said. Then reality crashed down on me like a collapsing building. That's impossible, I stammered. We've been faithful. I've been faithful. Dr. Hendrix's expression was professionally sympathetic. Nick, I'm sorry. The tests are definitive. These infections were transmitted through intimate contact. My wife of 16 years, the mother of my children, had cheated on me while supposedly saving lives in Africa. She'd been busy destroying our marriage. How long has she had them? I asked, my voice cold and flat. Based on the progression, Dr. Hendrix replied gently. I'd say she was infected within the last 2 to 3 months. Right around the time she left for Guinea. Or maybe after she got there. Hell, maybe she never even made it to Guinea. I sat in that sterile room for 20 minutes, staring at a motivational poster on the wall. Every day is a new beginning. What a load of crap. When I finally stood up, I felt different. Older. Angrier. Like someone had reached into my chest and rearranged my organs. I needed answers, and I knew exactly who to call. Mason Gray looked exactly like what he was. An ex-cop turned private investigator who'd seen too much and drank too little coffee to care about social niceties. His office, located above Murphy's Tavern, smelled like stale cigarettes and disappointment. But he had a reputation for finding the truth in places most people were afraid to look. So, your wife brought back more than malaria medication from her African adventure, Mason said, lighting his 4th cigarette since I'd started talking. You want me to find out who, what, when, and where? I looked him dead in the eye. I want to know everything. Every detail, every lie. That's going to cost you, he grunted. Truth usually does. I slid a thick envelope across his desk. There's 5,000. Find me the truth, and there's 5,000 more. Mason opened the envelope, counted the bills, and gave me a grim smile. Nick, my friend, you just bought yourself a front row seat to the crap show. While Mason started digging, I was left to play the part of the worried husband, living in a house built on lies. The truth he was about to uncover was darker than I could have ever imagined. Tessa was being treated with antibiotics and would be released in a few days. The kids thought she had some exotic but treatable African virus. I let them keep thinking that. Real quick, if you're on the edge of your seat right now, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out and tells me you want more stories like this. Alright, let's get back to the investigation. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal. I went to work, monitored security cameras, and fixed network problems while my marriage imploded in slow motion. My colleagues treated me with the careful sympathy reserved for family members of patients, not knowing I was the victim of a completely different kind of infection. 3 days later, Mason called. His voice was gravelly. Nick, you need to come to my office. And you might want to bring a bottle of something strong. I found him surrounded by photographs, computer printouts, and surveillance equipment. His expression was grim. Your wife, he said, never made it to Guinea. What do you mean? I asked, my blood running cold. I mean, Dr. Tessa Ellery spent exactly 0 days treating Ebola patients in West Africa. He let that sink in. She spent the last 3 months in Portland, Oregon, shacked up with a Dr. Owen Grant from the cardiology department. Owen Grant. I knew him. Arrogant, handsome, married with 2 kids. The kind of doctor who wore expensive suits and drove a BMW like it was a medical device. How do you know? Mason slid a stack of photographs across his desk. Hotel receipts, restaurant bills, and pictures that made my stomach turn. There were photos of Tessa and Owen in restaurants, holding hands across candlelit tables. Tessa and Owen entering hotel rooms. Tessa and Owen doing things that definitely weren't covered by a medical license. There's more, Mason said, his voice low. Your wife wasn't just having an affair. She was part of something bigger. He showed me printouts of text messages and financial records. Tessa was involved with a group of medical professionals who organized what they called continuing education retreats. In reality, they were elaborate hookup parties for doctors, nurses, and other hospital staff, all orchestrated by a Dr. Alexis Voss from psychiatry. She's been running these parties for 2 years, Mason explained, targeting married professionals looking for excitement. Your wife got recruited about 4 months ago. Dr. Alexis Voss. I knew her too. Mid-30s, blonde, with the kind of predatory smile that made smart men do stupid things. So Tessa didn't just cheat. She joined a cheating club. Gets better or worse, depending on your perspective, Mason continued. The group keeps detailed records. Photos, videos, financial arrangements. Insurance, you might say. He handed me a flash drive. Everything's on there. Names, dates, locations. Your wife's been paying membership fees for months. I stared at the flash drive like it was a venomous snake. How many people are involved? I asked. 43 medical professionals from 5 different hospitals, he replied, including some names that would make front-page news if this got out. I pocketed the drive and stood up. Mason, you've earned your bonus. He raised an eyebrow. What are you going to do? I'm going to diagnose the problem, I said, my voice hardening, and prescribe the appropriate treatment. That evening, I sat in my home office while Tessa slept off her antibiotics upstairs. I opened the flash drive and started reading. What I found made my skin crawl. Tessa hadn't just cheated, she documented it. Photos of hotel rooms, screenshots of text conversations, and financial records showing she'd spent over $8,000 of our money on her continuing education. But the worst part was reading her messages to Owen and the others. She wrote about me like I was some boring obstacle. Nick's so predictable, one message read. Military guys are all the same. No imagination. No imagination. We'd see about that. I spent the next 2 hours creating a comprehensive dossier on every single person involved. Then, I started making phone calls. Julia Grant, Owen's wife, answered on the 3rd ring. I'd met her at hospital social events. Quiet, intelligent, the kind of woman who noticed everything but said little. Julia, this is Nick Ellery, Tessa's husband, I said. I need to talk to you about something important. Something about our spouses. There was a long silence. Then, a weary voice replied. I was wondering when you'd call. We met at Riverside Park the next morning. Julia brought coffee and a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. She looked tired but determined, like someone who'd been preparing for war. How long have you known? I asked. 6 months, she said flatly. Owen got sloppy with his phone passwords. She opened her folder, revealing evidence that made Mason's investigation look amateur. Bank statements showing Owen's payments to Dr. Voss's consulting firm, credit card statements, and photographs that would have made a divorce lawyer weep with joy. Why didn't you confront him? I asked. Because I wanted to understand the scope of the problem first, she said, sipping her coffee. And because I was hoping it would burn itself out. I was wrong. We spent 2 hours comparing notes, building a complete picture of the secret society our spouses had joined. The retreats were elaborate affairs at expensive resorts. It's not just about sex, Julia explained. It's about power. They get off on the secrecy, the risk, the feeling that they're part of something exclusive. That's when my IT security brain kicked into gear. An idea began to form. Julia, I said, how would you feel about making this public? You mean, exposing them? A slow, dangerous smile spread across her face for the first time. I mean destroying them. Professionally, socially, financially. Making sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people they really are. Julia looked at me, a new fire in her eyes. Nick, she said, I think we're going to be great friends. Over the next week, we put together a plan that would have impressed military strategists. Julia handled the financial investigation, tracking the money trails. I used my hospital IT access to gather intelligence on the participants' professional activities and potential ethics violations. All while Tessa was at home, trying to pretend nothing had changed. She told the kids elaborate, fake stories about her time in Africa, showing them photos she'd downloaded from charity websites. She cooked my favorite meals and tried to be intimate like we were still a happy couple. I played along, smiling and acting like the devoted husband she'd betrayed. But inside, I was planning her destruction with methodical precision. The breakthrough came when Julia discovered that Dr. Voss had been blackmailing some of the participants. The insurance, photos, and videos were leverage. Voss had been extorting money from married members who wanted to leave the group. She's been draining them, Julia said, showing me financial records. Some have paid her over $50,000 to keep quiet. And then she pointed to a line item, including Tessa. Especially Tessa. Your wife has been paying Voss $2,000 a month for the last 4 months. $8,000. Money we'd been saving for our kids' college funds. That night, I made a decision. It was time to start the war. I began with the hospital administration. I requested a private meeting with Dr. Richard Hartwell, the chief of staff, a by-the-book administrator who took ethics violations seriously. I presented him with a carefully edited version of my evidence, framing it as a concerned employee reporting potential misconduct. Dr. Hartwell's face went pale as he reviewed the documents. Mr. Ellery, this is extremely serious. If these allegations are accurate, we're looking at licensing violations, ethics breaches, and possible criminal activity. I leaned forward. I thought you should know before it becomes public knowledge. His eyes widened. Public knowledge? Doctor, this involves over 40 medical professionals from multiple hospitals. The story is going to come out eventually. The question is whether Riverside General gets ahead of it or gets buried by it. Within 24 hours, the hospital had launched a secret internal investigation. But hospital gossip networks make the CIA look like amateur hour. Within 48 hours, the whispers started. By Friday, everyone knew some of their most respected doctors were caught in a massive scandal. They just didn't know the details yet. Tessa came home that evening looking shell-shocked. "Nick, there are rumors going around the hospital," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Crazy rumors about some kind of investigation." I looked up from my newspaper with practiced innocence. Sounds like typical hospital drama. You know how people gossip. "But what if it affects me?" she pressed. "What if people think I'm involved?" I let a small smile play on my lips. "Honey, you've been in Africa for 3 months treating Ebola patients. How could you possibly be involved in hospital gossip?" She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw the flicker of recognition in her eyes. She was starting to realize her world was about to collapse. The Riverside General Hospital annual gala was scheduled for the following Saturday. 500 of the city's medical elite gathered to celebrate professional excellence. It was the perfect stage. "I don't think we should go," Tessa said, pacing nervously while I adjusted my tie. "With all the rumors, it's better to keep a low profile." "Nonsense," I replied coolly. "You're one of the hospital's most respected doctors. Hiding would just make people think you have something to be ashamed of." The truth was, I wanted her there. I wanted all of them there. Because tonight was the night everything would come out into the open. The convention center was a sea of blue and silver. I spotted Owen Grant immediately. He looked nervous, constantly checking his phone. Dr. Alexis Voss was at the bar, huddled with a group of her retreat participants. They looked like conspirators, which, I suppose, they were. At 8 p.m., Dr. Hartwell took the stage. He spoke of integrity and public trust, the irony so thick you could cut it with a scalpel. "This year has brought challenges," he said, his voice booming. "We've been reminded that our profession demands the highest standards of ethical conduct, both in our medical practice and in our personal lives." Murmurs rippled through the audience. "Which is why I'm announcing tonight that Riverside General will be implementing new policies regarding professional conduct," he continued. "We will be conducting a comprehensive review of any staff members who may have participated in activities that compromise their professional integrity." The murmurs grew louder. People were looking around, trying to guess who was involved. That was my cue. I stood up and walked to the microphone set up for audience questions. Dr. Hartwell looked surprised, but nodded for me to proceed. "Thank you, Dr. Hartwell," I began, my voice clear and steady. "I'm Nick Ellery from IT Security. I have a question about the professional conduct review you mentioned." He nodded. "I'm wondering if this review will include staff members who have been participating in so-called continuing education retreats that are actually elaborate hookup parties, funded by membership fees and organized by Dr. Alexis Voss." The silence that followed was deafening. 500 people stopped breathing simultaneously. "Mr. Ellery, this is not the appropriate forum for," Dr. Hartwell began, but I cut him off. "Actually, Doctor, I think it's the perfect forum. Because I have documentation showing that over 40 staff members have been participating, including financial records, photographs, and evidence of blackmail." The room erupted. People were standing, shouting, pulling out their phones to record. I saw Tessa across the room, her face white with shock and horror. Furthermore, I boomed over the chaos. "I have evidence that some participants, including my own wife, Dr. Tessa Ellery, have been lying about their professional activities. Dr. Ellery claimed to be treating Ebola patients in West Africa when she was actually in Portland, Oregon." That's when Owen Grant lost it. He pushed through the crowd, his face red with rage. "You son of a bitch," he roared. I stepped down to meet him. "I have every right," I said calmly, "to expose liars, cheaters, and blackmailers. He swung a clumsy punch. I ducked, grabbed his wrist, and used his momentum to spin him around, pinning his arm behind his back. My Marine training hadn't faded. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced to the stunned crowd, "meet Dr. Owen Grant, cardiologist and homewrecker. He's been having an affair with my wife for 4 months while his own wife took care of their children." I released him, and he stumbled away. Tessa was already gone, pushing her way through the crowd to escape the humiliation. As people began filing out, the story hit social media. By Sunday morning, the local news was calling it Medgate. I found Tessa at our kitchen table, staring at her phone as tears streamed down her face. "Nick, please," she begged. "We need to talk about this rationally." "Rationally?" I scoffed. "Let's start with the rational decision to lie about treating Ebola patients while you were with your colleague in a Portland hotel room." She tried to explain it was just a break, a way to figure things out. "Figure what out?" I countered. "How to spend $8,000 of our kids' college money on a hookup club." "How do you know about the money?" she whispered, horrified. "I know about everything, Tessa." I slid the dossier across the table. "Owen has been suspended. Dr. Voss is facing criminal charges for extortion. And you're about to lose your medical license." Her secret life was laid out in black and white. That's when Maddie appeared in the doorway. "Dad? Mom? What's going on? Why are there news vans outside?" The next hour was the hardest of my life, explaining to my children that their mother had been living a lie, that our marriage was over, and that our family was now the center of a media firestorm. The legal proceedings moved quickly. The evidence Julia and I had gathered was overwhelming. The custody battle was heartbreaking, but the kids made their choice. They were angry and felt betrayed. They refused to stay with their mother. "She lied to us about everything," Maddie told the court counselor. "How do we know she won't lie about other things?" Dr. Voss was arrested. Owen Grant was fired and lost his medical license. And Tessa was suspended, her career in ruins. I wasn't finished. 3 months later, her lawyer requested a private meeting. I found her at Riverside Park, looking thin and broken. "I want to apologize," she said. "I've lost everything. My career, my family. I have nothing left." "You made your choices, Tessa," I said. "Actions have consequences." She tried to explain she felt trapped and invisible. "So you decided to become visible by joining a sex club and lying about treating dying children in Africa?" She flinched. "When you put it like that, it sounds monstrous." "It was monstrous," I replied. I told her I wasn't angry anymore, just disappointed. "You had everything," I said. "A career you loved, children who adored you, a husband who would have done anything for you. And you threw it all away for something that wasn't even real." I walked away, leaving her crying on the park bench. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks later. I got the house in primary custody. 6 months later, the dust had settled. The scandal had made me locally famous, but it felt like a hollow victory. I had won the war, but I had lost something essential in the process, the ability to trust completely. One evening, my son looked up from his video game. "Dad," he asked, "would you ever lie to us the way Mom did?" I looked him in the eyes. "No, buddy. I promise. If you ask me a question, you'll get an honest answer. Even if the truth sucks." He nodded. "Especially if the truth sucks. Because lies always make everything worse in the end." Later that night, I sat in my office. The revenge was complete. Justice, such as it was, had been served. But I realized that revenge can remove the disease, but it can't heal the wound. I couldn't rebuild what they had taken from me. I had destroyed my enemies, but in doing so, I had hardened my own heart. I walked upstairs to check on my children. They were both asleep, safe in their beds, dreaming of futures that wouldn't be defined by their parents' failures. And in that moment, I knew that was enough. That was everything. And that's where Nick's story ends. A tough lesson in betrayal and the high cost of revenge. What do you guys think? Was his response justified, or did he go too far? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.